All right. Well, we're going to make another episode tonight. I think the big issue that I want to focus on is going to be related to this stuff going on around President Biden and his mental health. Or not mental health, that's the wrong word for it. His mental competency. I mean, the man's old and it seems like he's got losing it. So, like, everyone knows this, but we're just going to go over some stuff. There's a lot going around on X/Twitter. Um, Points I think I'd like to go over. Anyhow, we're going to start with this account, and Wokeness, pretty well known account. You've probably heard of it before. In any case, basically, he reposted a few things I want to go over. One of these things is like the interview with Tucker Carlson, where Putin just goes on about how, um, oh no, this isn't the one that I wanted to go over. It was, yeah, this one. So yeah, Putin's been in this interview. He spends a long time going over Russian history or Eastern European history, and basically just he uses as justification for why he thinks Russia has claim to the lands of Ukraine or parts of the land of Ukraine. Whereas Biden has a much worse memory. Like according to him, he can't even remember what he had for lunch. We have this other clip that came out where Biden basically said that Mexico is on the border with Gaza. I mean, he said this. Let's see. Let's back it up. We're going to play our sound. There you go. I mean, he doesn't seem to be very cognizant of what's going on around him. Of course, we got CNN basically trying to carry water for Biden and pretend like this doesn't happen. You know, basically everyone's misspoken at some point, and he's got a stutter. It's not a stutter. He's already had a history of gaffing. He has a history of plagiarism, and he's old now. He just makes more mistakes. Anyhow, that's what I wanted to bring up first. What's also interesting is we have Greg Abbott basically reposting similar stuff. So in any case, even Biden's DOJ has been basically coming out and saying, you know, we're not going to charge Biden over the documents case because we think his mental faculties are so degraded at this point that there's really no point in it. He can't be held accountable for his crime because his like mental state is just so degraded and so poor at this point that there's no point in it. We have the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, reposting this is basically this is an absolutely stunning indictment of a sitting president. This is a statement below, and Wokeness reposted it. I guess I accidentally skimmed over it, but in any case, we'll just see if we can open it up if it wants to. Error. Ugh. I see what happened. My internet died on this. Is it? Yeah, we'll just keep going through. We got everything pulled up, but we'll have there's plenty of information out there. We have Mike Johnson also tweeting out similar stuff. The special counsel is finding that President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials and engaged in practices that present a serious risk to national security is deeply disturbing. Not only does it demonstrate the president's recklessness, but exposes a two-tiered system of justice that is indicting one president with politically motivated charges while carrying water for another amid similar allegations. Among the most disturbing parts of this report is the special counsel's justification for not recommending charges, namely that the president's memory had such significant limitations that he could not convince a jury that the president had a mental state of willfulness that a serious felony requires. A man too incapable of being held accountable for mishandling classified information is certainly unfit for Oval Office. Yes, I would agree, this is a fairly obvious statement to make, but he got elected in that position anyway because it was an anti-Trump vote. But of course, in our political system, that counts just as much as a vote for Joe Biden rather than a vote against Trump. Flaws. When we got this more longer thread from Patrick Bet David, I think this one is definitely worth paying attention to. So I'll go ahead and read it out. Two world leaders were interviewed tonight with complete different outcomes. President Putin interviewed by arguably the most fearless journalist in America, Tucker Carlson. Putin seemed to be loose, calm, and came with a clear agenda. His agenda was to teach the world about the untold history of Russia and Ukraine to defend why he attacked Ukraine. He acted like a lawyer making a case to the juror, the world. He even came ready with historical documents and letters to share with Tucker. Whether you bought his argument or not is irrelevant. You can't doubt his level of poise, firmness, and ability to persuade. On the other hand, President Joe Biden had a press conference where he was questioned by journalists from different media outlets. He had no agenda, he seemed confused, He seemed miserable. He seemed defensive. He came off as someone who was being bullied by the media. Majority of the journalists who did question his ability to lead and even suggested him to step aside were from liberal media outlets. It was sincerely painful to watch. Meanwhile, the world is watching. America, the once great nation that was feared, admired, and respected, came across as weak, feeble, and in a fragile state. I am convinced all the power players from the establishment left talk to one another tonight about how quickly they can replace Biden with a more formidable opponent, or else 2024 will be a landslide victory for Trump. They can't wait till DNC in August to announce Newsom or Michelle. They have to start selling right now. They have to start recruiting Michelle and closing the deal right now. They may even have to call a Nikki Haley to flip to the Democratic Party. A long shot, but a great strategy. An announcement must come before the DNC. There are two communities they need to close. One, the Obamas. Two, Wall Street big money donors. There won't be a need to sell Newsom. He's more waiting to get the green light on whether he'll be the presidential candidate or VP. But they must move quickly. Many moves being made behind closed doors. The most unified team with the best strategy and stamina will win. The future looks bright. Anyhow, that's his take on the situation. I still don't know if they're going to actually manage to replace Biden. Maybe they keep trying to run him through. Honestly, I really don't know. I would have thought that they would have replaced the man by now, and the fact that we're this close to the election, he's still the presumptive nominee, is kind of crazy. Maybe they actually pull off switching him out. But every day we get closer, the less likely it becomes. Now, it doesn't mean it won't happen, but it's still crazy to think that we're at that point. Moving on, we'll just go ahead and look at Trump. Start with a story from the Post-Millennial. Breaking: Nikki Haley loses Nevada primary to none of these candidates. So, in case you didn't know, Nevada had both a primary and a caucus. The primary meant essentially nothing. If you won the primary, it doesn't give you any delegates and doesn't help you become the president. If you win the caucus, then you get there. So Nikki Haley competed in the primary. She lost in the primary, and she lost to absolutely none of these candidates. That was one of the options on the ballot. Trump wasn't on the primary. Let's scroll down. Oh, we got this repost from Charlie Kirk basically showing the results. None of these candidates was an option you could pick. It got 61% of the vote. Nikki Haley only got 32. Mike Pence got 4.2. Tim Scott 1.3. Wow, that's really bad. Maybe this is enough to help her snap back into reality, or maybe her plan is to hang in there until Trump goes to prison and she can become the presumptive nominee. I don't know. Either way, it's still really embarrassing to see that kind of happen to yourself. I think I saw something where she alleged that the whole thing was rigged or there was fraud or something. I don't know. I think it's stupid. You lost to none of these candidates. That's sad. Moving on, NBC News. These are the results of what actually mattered in the caucus. So, Nevada Presidential Caucus and election results 2024. Donald Trump and Joe Biden win. NBC News projects. So as we can see, Donald Trump was on the ballot, got 96% of the vote in Nevada, or at least that's what's reported so far. We can refresh. Oh yeah, we got no internet. Oh well, I already saw it, 96%. Trump's going to crush Nevada. He's going to crush all the states, presumably. There have been some stories about how Democrats are trying to use open primaries in order to force in their voters to try kind of sabotage Trump. But again, you need to get a lot of Democrats into the primaries in order to make that work. Like, the primary is the primary. It's typically for the vote, like for more staunch hardline voters, the people who are like more politically active. I have serious doubts that they can manage to rustle up enough people to do that. Like, you might be able to get, say, 30% for Nikki Haley in every single state, but 30% in every single state will not get her the nomination over Trump. Anyhow, that's what I want to talk about tonight. Interesting stuff going on. We'll see what comes of it. Props to Tucker Carlson for pulling off the interview. I've seen rumors that he's also going to try to interview Snowden while he's in Russia. I'd say if I was Tucker Carlson on my return trip to America, I might want to stop. I might want to avoid passing through the EU because they're looking at imposing sanctions on him. If I were Carlson, I'd be worried about getting the Julian Assange treatment at this point. He's interviewing Putin, certainly not what the establishment wanted. I mean, logically, you would think, not a big deal, you know? Like, we're not at war with Russia, so it shouldn't matter if I interview another world leader. The problem, NATO and the U.S. kind of is at war with Russia. It's just completely unofficial, so you don't really talk about it. But that's the reality, where we are engaging in active combat with them. I know, sucks, right? But that's the way it is. Well, that's about all I really had for tonight. I kind of had to put this one together quickly. Got to get to bed. I've been running around all day with various things. Anyhow, thanks for listening. Consider liking and subscribing. Leave a comment if you have your own thoughts you want to add to this. Again, like, this is my project. I like doing this because I like talking about the news, what I read during the day. If you want to share your own opinions for the 2 cents that they're worth, feel free. Anyhow, stay safe and bye.